still in April. But I guess my question is who will pull away kind of first. So we'll have to see. But let's move on to the San Diego Padres, who have um, it's kind of weird to judge them at this point because I think I was a little bit higher on them than people probably were, but I think looking at their start overall, based on where they were last season, I think their start and their record is kind of expected. Well, I'm actually going to go back to you on this one first. Their offense is pretty good. They're top third in baseball in a lot of the offensive categories. Their pitching has been, so, but what's kind of happening with them right now to be where they're at?
Their offense is carrying them. I mean, their offense in baseball right now is top 10, I would say. But for their pitching staff is probably bottom third. So they're scoring a lot of runs, but I mean that's seen in the Philly series. Their pitching was choking late and giving up lots of runs to the Phillies. So like the team scored 6 runs the other day, couldn't pull back and beat the Phillies 8 runs. I think it's the Padres just outslugging their mistakes at this moment. And the funny thing is, I feel like they could do even better. Like I said with the Giants, they're kind of I see a lot of players performing with the Giants where they're probably going to be roughly season wide or season long. They just keep that a fairly consistent outlook with how they're performing. Padres, I see a lot of players that are actually slightly underperforming than what I could see
Yeah.
them doing, especially from Xander Bogaerts. But Tatis can do better. Machado can do better. Cronenworth's doing pretty good so far, and Kim can do better. So the fact that this Padres team is a top third in baseball offensively, and they could get a lot better, makes me feel very confident as a Padres fan that they'll be able to kind of jump away from this muddle of teams in the middle of the division. Pitching wise, Cease is amazing. Musgrove is horrendous. I don't think that's going to stick for Musgrove. He's got too good of a
Yeah.
track record to keep an ERA over 6. Their pitching is still not the greatest, and I don't have a lot of trust in the bullpen outside of Suarez is doing a fantastic job in the back end, and Matsui was a nice addition to the team. But I think that the team is doing okay as they are around the 500 mark while they're not performing at their best. And so to see them potentially go even farther with what they're doing, I have a lot of faith that their offense will be able to carry them over the 500 mark and put them in the playoff contention.
And I think this was another point for us, right? Like we knew their offense was going to be good. We had questions about their starting pitching. When they got Cease, we were like, okay, they can be contenders now. And then, as you mentioned, the player I want to touch on, Joe Musgrove, he's having a rough start to the year. As you said, close to a 7 ERA in 35 innings pitched. But you look at his track record, and that's just not what you get from this guy. He's going to be a low threes, high twos in some seasons, mostly low threes, though, in his time in San Diego. And you said all these guys underperforming on the offensive side, and I think for him, he's a guy that should be able to turn it around at some point and get you some wins. So I think, if you're looking at that, that's something you can rely on. Also, Michael King has, obviously was coming over from a reliever role over from the Yankees. He's might still be adjusting. He's been okay, but I think my whole thing, and I'll relay this question to John here. Like, I think as good as the offense has been and they can improve there, I really do think you can get some improvement from this pitching staff. What are your thoughts on that? And I think just overall with their roster, what are your thoughts on how they've been doing so far?
I think overall, I think Will hit the nail on the head here. Everybody can improve. Everyone can get better. I said this at the beginning of the season. I don't see the Padres as it's us against the world team here. So, in saying, that people can improve, yeah, everyone can improve. You know, Jackson Merrill is somebody who have actually been impressed with. Um, being that this is his rookie year, um, and that he is batting, uh, around just 500, 300 here, but towards the end of the month in his first year. So that has been impressive. I would like to see their pitching staff, improve. Cease. He didn't have a good last outing against the Phillies. I believe he gave. Was that the game he gave up? I want to say, was it 3 or 4 home runs? Will against the Phillies?
I think it was 3.
Yeah. So so that hurt his ERA, but like when you look at it, this guy, he is, he's giving them what they expect. It's everybody else that needs to pick up the slack here. I have faith that Musgrove will turn it around. Um, when it comes to their bullpen, I'm looking at, you know especially Cosgrove, excuse me, with that 10 ERA, a 10.32 ERA. That's got to improve. For a relief pitcher, you have to be consistent. You have to be better. This is a team that should be in playoff contention. We'll see if they are. I just don't. I don't think that they will be, and I think that it comes back to there isn't a true team leader. Honestly, you would think it would be Machado. You would think that it would be Bogarts, but you think it would be Tatis, but it's not. And I don't think that we're going to find that guy in this team, and I think that's going to hurt them.
I think sorry, I'm like continuing to go over numbers because so the other thing for them right now is Yu Darvish is hurt, and I'm hoping that it's not a long term thing. He was put on the 15-day IL for neck tightness. He's eligible to come back tomorrow, but you kind of lose him, and if he's out for maybe more time than they think, like that hurts them just with how finicky the pitching has been at this point in time. But it's funny, like we're talking about Tatis and Machado, and like their numbers could be better. Jurickson Profar is having a crazy start to the year, which that's kind of out of nowhere. Jackson Merrill, as you said, has been really good. So I think the hope for the Padres at this point in time is these guys can keep it up, or at least to an extent where they're not pulling down the team, and then Tatis will finally pick it up. Tatis, I will say, like his average is not fantastic right now and stuff, but he has had some clutch moments, as we've seen already this season, that has won them games legitimately. So you have that superstar potential with him. Already
But
had.
is he going to be that leader? Is he going to be the guy to step up there?
I really do think he can. He showed flashes of it. 6 home runs this year already. I think, look, he's still a young player in his own right, but he has a swagger about him that other players want to be around a guy like this, I think. And when he's playing at his best, he's one of the best players in baseball. So again, the numbers you'd like to see improve, but
that's
it could be
the
worse.
issue. Is when he's not playing at his best, he's temperamental. He's not consistent. It's rough, and that's the problem. In order to be a leader in baseball, you need to be consistent, and you need to and you need to be there. I understand that you won't give you can have a rough stretch where you go 0 for 16 at times. I understand that, but when it comes down to being the leader that they need him to be, it's is he going to give the same 110% during those rough stretches that he gives when he's tearing the cover off the ball and hitting 15 for his last 30,
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes, he does.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to judge from an outsider standpoint, honestly. Like, look, we see the clips on Twitter in recent years of him and Machado going at it and blah, 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 this and that. And I understand that. It's hard for me to say, though. He just has so much talent that you at some point you'd believe at some point that it's going to come to fruition and he's going to pop off and that team is going to fall behind. Because John, I will say I do believe that the heartbeat of that team is Tatis and it's Machado, and I think when they're going, the team is going. So when they're kind of struggling or maybe not performing to where they want to, maybe the record isn't where they
Manny
want it
Machado
to be,
is a prime example of what I'm talking about. When he's struggling, he pouts, he whines, he gets upset. He doesn't give the 110% all the time. And that's just who he is. That's fine if you want to be that, but that to me that's not a leader. So it falls to Tatis.
but I think, tough situation that happens. I think for their sake at this point, though, they're in it right now. Obviously, they're not playing the worst baseball. Get some series under your belt, and they can be right back into the mix of things, especially in that, the wild card when that eventually comes into play. Because again, they're not winning the division. We've already been through this, but they want to be a wild card team.